Just yeah, but yeah. So Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle. For people listening, right in the bottom left, disbelief, hope, optimism, belief as it gets up, belief, thrill, euphoria. Euphoria is I'm a genius. We're all gonna be rich. That vibe, right? We've all been there. We've been there a few times.
We've got it on video, boys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've literally got the whole. Someone needs to put that up. It's like a thumbnail screenshot of us going up and down on this anger, and you've got the TikTok ban, panic selling.
Yeah.
Shit, everyone's selling.
No,
yeah.
actually,
So basically,
you know what we had. Let me add this. 2 years ago, after FTX, the cope we had was incredible.
Oh,
we
my
did
God.
an episode where we were like, man, it's really good. Honestly, the positive is that we can get back to building.
yeah. Yo, that's amazing.
Do you remember
Get
the
back
cope?
to wait. What was
man.
there was a building versus betting. That was good though. But I mean, it's also true. It's also
we can't just
true.
make money off these NFTs and meme coins. We gotta actually create value in this world. Maybe that's a positive.
Yeah.
The cope
that
was
was good.
incredible.
All right, welcome to another episode of No Investment Advice. You got Jack Butcher, Trung Phan, Bilal Zaidi. What's going on, boys? The most fried brain vibes we've had for a long, long time. Jack was just saying, Jack, tell us how you're feeling right now. It's been a mental week.
Yeah, onslaught, boys. It's mad. Just more information than the brain should be consuming for the last few weeks. No doubt.
Forget a few weeks. Let's try 3 days. You know what I mean?
No, this
has been the crescendo of a long over stimulation cycle.
Were you guys nonstop?
Last weekend or so, yeah, for sure, yeah.
You non-stop mean just on the phone, watching, reading everything, seeing everything. Yeah, dopamine fried, man, definitely. I mean, I was just telling you guys before, but I had to install, man. This sounds like a drug addict vibe, but I had to install that app. I don't want to shout them out because the app is actually not great, but it's the physical device where you got to scan it and people know what it is. But I didn't actually have a great experience with it, but it's working now. But yeah, that actually helps because you have to physically get up and go scan this thing, and you feel like, okay, there's an issue here. If I can't, let's not be on my phone.
No, it's because it's making you think every single time. You're scared, dude. It's actually an amazing friction. Anything
that's all you
friction,
need. Yeah, anything you add, because the time limit on the phone doesn't do anything because you just press extend instinctively. Trung, you just told us your little hack here, which is you don't have your login on your computer for Twitter, right?
Well, that one, and then also shout out to George Mack. I still do the kill phone.
You actually have a separate phone still. All right.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, dude, it's like one of those super burners that it's not a good phone, which is great.
Like a trapping phone.
It's a total piece of shit, which is amazing. Dude, if they could have those Nokia brick phones that could scroll the internet and like have Kindle on it, I would just use that.
That's all you need.
I have an app idea for somebody, if anybody listening to this.
Let's hit it. Go on, Jack.
What about you have to do something that is like embarrassing to get access to that stuff? Like you have to sing a song. You have to sing a verse of a song to unlock
out loud
apps on your phone out loud. Yeah,
and it can hear if you're doing it or not because you have to do it in the phone.
Yeah. Because even getting up and slyly tapping something, like in the last 3 days, that wouldn't have worked for me. That's what I'm saying.
That's a good. No, that's really. Do you know what it reminds me of? You know the Gentleman in The Gentleman when he. Do you remember that the TV series where he makes
the chicken?
Yeah, the chicken soup guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert for people who haven't watched it.
Somewhere on that spectrum would be interesting to play.
Yeah, maybe
around
not
with.
the rest of that scene,
just
but
software, cheaper.
That's a smart idea because just the embarrassment, even if you're on your own. And you're like, I'm really going to sing
exactly.
Spice
Happy
Girls
birthday
right
to
now,
me or something. Yeah.
Happy birthday to you know what my son did is he's gone to the age where he's actually sick and tired of me on my phone. Like he'll just be like, no phony, or he'll slap it on my hand, which is fair enough, right?
I love that.
And no, but now he just has signs everywhere. Doors, it just has no phone zone.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah,
that's
he
amazing.
just but I'm like, you got me. But Bilal, why don't you tell us what we're going to talk about this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only one place to start, boys, which is obviously the inauguration for Trump was yesterday. You know, we don't really talk politics on the pod too much.
You know what's
but this
funny?
is
We've
not
been
really
saying that
politics.
for the last 6 months.
For the last 6 months, that everything's been related. I mean, that's the question: is what isn't politics? That's the question, right? Like everything is related in a way.
It literally, especially with tech now and crypto.
So yeah, obviously, I'm sure everyone listening to this already knows, but over the weekend, there was this Trump coin mania. We had our first ever presidential meme coin, which is absolutely, if you just think that when we started this pod, there were no real meme coins properly yet, right? Like there was Doge and there was a few other things. You could argue if Bitcoin was the original meme coin, or as our friend of the pod said, Berkshire Hathaway was the original meme coin. Did you see that? Yeah, Pomp was getting some heat for that one.
People calling out the fact that Berkshire does like 300 billion in cash flow.
But anyway, so we're going to break that down. Obviously, Melania coin came out, rugged the Trump coin. We're going to break that down a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, there's been some Ethereum community struggles as well. There's been a lot of chat on the timeline about that. Friend of the pod, who we had on, has been a big part of that. A voice, Tetranode, who was on the pod, he's an OG in the ETH community, has been posting a lot about that. And then, yeah, we're probably going to talk about TikTok ban as well, because everyone knows it's Trung's favorite topic. And it actually finally went through for 24 hours.
That was part of when you guys told me your brain melted. So many things happened. The TikTok ban happened, unbanned. The meme coin launch was happening in the middle of the night. We should talk about the thread that Jack sent. Jack sent us a really good thread. It didn't have a lot of readers when I saw it, but it was a guy that bought into Trump coin, and he's just explaining this was actually like a difficult trade to make, right? It's like and Jack probably has way more insight into this as somebody that has even slightly dabbled in the meme coin or in those telegrams and Discord chats. Like it was actually a difficult trade to make because you didn't know if it was like complete BS, right? And the other thing I wanted to say was I'll jump into the meme of the week quickly.
That's clear. I mean, we know what it's going to be. Surely from the inauguration
Well, listen,
Trung, sorry, I just
if you believed in the Fine People hoax, you're probably expecting us to throw something about Elon Musk up, but we don't do the Fine People hoax around here.
The Fine People hoax.
The Fine People hoax that literally the Dems have been riding for a decade, and now they're looking for a new Fine People hoax. So we're not here for that one. We're here for, honestly, the winner yesterday was either Baron Trump or our boy Zuck Daddy Flex, who...
oh my God, this was phenomenal. Trung, you're the only one on the pod who can read this one out, so I'm going to let you go for this one.
So I'll say a couple of things here. For the listeners, we talked last week about how Zuck was on the Rogan podcast, and he had said that one of the most viral lines from that podcast of many was, I believe it's good to have masculine energy. I think Facebook and corporate America has been demasculated or emasculated, whatever the term is. That masculine energy got clapped, and then sure enough, he did an extremely masculine energy thing at the inauguration yesterday. He's sitting next to Lauren Sanchez, Bezos' fiance, and Big Daddy Bezos is one seat over.
Big Daddy Bezos.
And Lauren Sanchez is wearing something quite risque. She's wearing a white blazer and what looks to be lingerie underneath. And our boy Zuck got absolutely
couldn't keep his eyes off,
in the act.
There we go.
For the listeners, dude, he did it. Listen, am I beyond that? I'm not going to pretend some moral high ground that if I was
the thing is, honestly, you can see the what makes it is the laugh after, it's the smile. Like that cheeky smile, because he's naturally just looking. He's like, oh, what's that? And he realizes, oh, I'm getting clocked here.
No, here, let me read this. So, also in his defense, 200,000 years of evolution right there, people. Like, the male gaze, like, that's literally, you're fighting evolution if you think.
Did you see the RFK one?
No, what was the RFK one?
RFK also, sorry, was just locked in. He didn't like look away. He just
people are saying that this was the most human thing Zuck's ever done. But let me read the
installed the human chip in his brain.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a meme account, parody account called Wei Wu. Hysterical, by the way. And she also had a really funny TikTok meme, which we'll talk about later. But this tweet is she posted a video. This is a parody account. I don't know if it's a he or she running it. It goes, "My woman Chinese friend, you new in America? ? I tell you this, cover your breast meat all time. Why? I learn American men all love breast meat. Do not give chance allow pervert I be happy." Oh my God, dude.
Insane levels.
Absolutely out of control.
That got sent to me a few times, not gonna lie. Trung was the first to send it, to be fair.
Well, you want to know what's really funny? Well, it's more sad, but that loop was playing for so long that YouTube's probably gonna knock us off of the site after we post this one. But anyways, let's get into the meme coin. You guys talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to break this down? I mean, let's go through the timeline maybe, right? Was it Friday night while there was the crypto ball going on in DC? So the who's who of the crypto world. What was that the only event going on? That seems like quite a... Were there other events going on at the same time? Does anyone know?
I don't think so. That was the big one.
You saw all the pictures, obviously. David Sachs, Chamath, like those boys are there. Then we've got All In guys. Then you've got all the... the who's who, like Brian Armstrong, I'm assuming was there. Who else did you guys see in that? It was basically all the funds,
it's
all
everyone.
the VCs.
Dude, what the hell's a crypto ball? Can you guys explain this? Where was it? What's going on? Who
I think
threw
it was just in DC. I guess they were just there to announce, like, we're pro crypto or something. I guess a lot of them are coming in for the inauguration, I assume.
Well, they also spent a lot. Jack had mentioned the fair shake lobbying. I guess this is, and a bigger presence in DC. Gary Gensler's out, kind of just a celebration that, hey, we can actually work with the government. Yeah, that's kind of the position, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But
Correct.
Then that night, was it like 9 p.m., 9, 10 p.m.?
I think it may have even been later than that.
Because I was already falling asleep, so I missed this.
Yeah. 10, 11 o'clock my time.
Where were you, Jack? Did you see it straight away?
Jack's the one that showed us, so tell us what happened, Jack.
You know what? It was maybe the longest stretch of time I'd been off my phone in the previous
3
week.
hours.
Watching TV or something. Look at it. I got like bunch of text messages, and I think it must have been 10 o'clock at night or something. It tweeted it, and I think it went out on the Truth Social handle too. And it's like fog of war at the start, right? It's like it's been hacked. There's no way you would do this.
Fog of war, yeah.
So people
because it doesn't look real, right, at that moment.
I mean, but the Trump suite of branding is so like it already has that aesthetic of like, is this real? Like it is very unpolished, and like the copy and everything is like it's kind of indistinguishable from somebody that would just be like setting it up in 10 minutes, and that's like the part of the appeal of it. I think is that too. There's this is off topic slightly, but there's a great article came out the last election cycle about the Make America Great Again hats in contrast to the Hillary like hyper corporate branding. We might have even talked about it back then. Anyway, that link goes out, and then obviously Twitter is like ablaze about that. I have a couple people text me like, did you see this? Is it real? And I think 15, 20 minutes in, people kind of decided that this must be legit, because if it was an account compromise, it wouldn't have come from both accounts. He wouldn't have been. And his position obviously be one phone call to Elon or whoever to take the tweet down if it was fake. So every second it stays up is like more conviction that it's not being compromised. And then,
I guess it was because it was on both of those, right? Because just logically, like if one's actually hacked, to have hacked the second one at the same time,
right,
seems like quite a big thing.
Seems very unlikely, but I think at least the way I thought about it was like, the amount of like you have reach into those platforms that you could make a decision in a minute, and get it taken care of. So it's like every minute it stayed up is more likely that this, even if it
Lindy, if you will.
Yeah, micro Lindy.
In 13 minutes increments.
If it's up for 13 minutes, it'll be up for at least another 13
a lifetime, yeah. So then, like, it goes from zero, and all the, like, token up, they own 80% of it on, like, a 3-month vesting
Jack, can you explain whether that's good, bad, typical?
Well, typically that would be a terrible sign, right? For anything that you're... Like, if somebody controls 80% of the supply, anything they do with their supply is going to massively impact the price of the remaining 20%.
Downward, most likely,
correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's also, like, the other argument, I suppose, is, like, they have a vested interest, especially if they're locked, to see that the token holds value until their vesting begins, right? This is like a classic... like crypto fundraising ICO thing where there's like a cliff or a date where the supply gets unloaded on retail essentially, and the price is like, the everything is priced in meme that applies there too. Anyway, it goes from 0 to 4 or 5 billion, I think, in the first hour. And then it feels like it clicks and it just goes bonkers, right? It went up, I think, to $70 billion market cap, which puts it in like top 10 or 12 cryptocurrencies by market
in 24
cap.
hours or 48 hours,
literally
whatever.
Of all chains that have, hundreds of thousands of people working on them. I think at one point it was like 40% of Solana's TVL, which is the chain it was launched on.
What does TVL stand for? Total volume?
Total value locked, right? So the total amount of, and just like obscene, but this is maybe inarguably, maybe with Elon, like the person who has the most reach, attention.
It's the most. He's the most famous person in the world
by far. Yeah,
by far, most powerful, most famous. And Jack, the thing I want to mention, and I think this is worth flagging, is that number that got reported, right? Because if you actually look at the press, it's all over the place. There's a fully diluted number, and then the 20% float that was actually out there, right? So let me ask you a very specific question. When you have a situation like this, where 20% of the float is out, so I guess at one point it was worth 70 bill was the max, so about was worth 15 billion, right? At its max with the float.
The amount that was the supply that was out there, yeah.
Yeah, if you combine the 80%, then that's 70 billion, right? But to your point, what is the actual discount you would have though, based on, because I'm sure somebody models this out, right? Based on the vesting schedule and the that's owned by the insider, how much of a discount should you actually assign to that 70 billion? Let's say they started selling into it. Should you be like, okay, this is actually only really a $5 billion market cap? Like there's got to be token mechanics around that, right? Or
I think something that breaks around that is like how much reach is, like literally one more tweet about it from them will massively, can inject a massive amount of liquidity again. Like in any other circumstance where people don't have a platform like that, it would just be nightmare scenario, right? It's like, how are you ever gonna get more attention on this than you had on day one? And I think the market thinks that there is a possibility, if not a probability, that you can come back and bring attention to this over and over again. So
there is a world based on that logic. Again, we're just kind of spitballing here, where if they unloaded the other 80% that's being held, I think it's being held by a Trump-related corporation. If they actually gets unloaded over whatever next 3-4 years, whatever the vesting schedule is, it might still be worth 100 billion fully diluted, just because of what you said. It's an N of one. It's an N of one situation. He's president for the next 4 years. Literally anything can happen. The entire world's eyes are on him for the next 4 years.
Well, and hilariously, that's like leads into the next point, where it's like the things you don't expect to happen that will affect it to the downside, just an unbelievable turn of events.
Right. He's, for example,
36 hours
he's 78,
later.
right? Like, well, let's talk about Millennium Coin.
That's what I'm trying to tee
also,
up.
while you're about to break that down, I'm gonna pull this up as well, because
he could launch a second Trump coin, and then, like, right?
It's just like that's
boys, this was probably meme of the week, to be honest. This is insane.
So crazy.
Did you see that? Yeah. Trung, I'm struggling with saying Trung versus Trump today.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, listen, man, I'm fine if you guys are mixing the most powerful man and most famous man in the world with my name. If you have that association.
I didn't actually verify if this is accurate, but this was going around. It looks from the side profile of the chart. Look, what does that look like to you, boys? Absolutely.
Dude,
here we go. Number 2. Can you see the second screen I just pulled up? Absolutely incredible, with the hair, the lips. I mean, a little bit of the neck going.
That is it's
phenomenal.
The hair that gives it, right? Because without that, and the hair, if you turn the chart right way, that's the initial jump. But so I want to add this, and I want to bring Bilal into the chat here, because Bilal also saw. Because here's the thing, and this is a running joke on NIA, is that Jack randomly has, for me and Bilal are like pigeons, and Jack just throws our breadcrumbs, and we just don't eat any of these breadcrumbs that turn out to be the most delicious breadcrumbs ever, right? Famously was the Bored Ape breadcrumbs. First 5 episodes, whatever it was.
First
5 episodes. But again, he's not investment advice guy. Jack is the most not investment advice guy. He'll be like, send us stuff and be like, not investment advice. But so when Jack sends us this in our DM, in our 3-way DM, he goes, this thing is live, I'll tell you my initial response. I think, Jack, you're right. It's about 10:15 at night, and my brain's already fried because I've been making jokes about TikTok's ban the entire day, and I've just been refreshing the feed. So my brain's already fried, and then Trump teased this up, and this comes out, and I saw it. I think my initial instinct was cool. I didn't want to ask any more questions. I'm like, cool. Like, wow, Trump has a meme coin. It didn't even register with me that it could have been purchased at that moment. And I think when Jack sent it, it was between 3 to 7 billion. Was a fully diluted.
What was that in the coin price? Because I'm just looking at.
I think
there's a billion units, so it's $3.
Yeah,
$3. Okay.
Jack, there ostensibly we had 5 to 10 times upside if we had acted quickly on this. But I got message also from a lot of other people I know in the crypto space. They also saw this happen, and they're like, "Oh my god, I could have gone in at 20 bill."
Yeah, it's one of those. Everyone saw it at some point,
Yeah.
and it went up a lot, and then also came down crashing in 2 days. So
Bilal, I want to ask you specifically. You're thinking around. Did you even feel? Because our actually friend of the pod, Ramp, actually said something the next morning when he realized what happened. At that point, it already been fully it already kind of 50 billion plus. And Ramp just wrote, I think, something to the effect of, "I'm not even mad. Like I used to get like FOMO'd and jealous when people made so much money, but this one, you're just like, this is like wild." Right?
And the thing is, this is the most crazy one, but there's so many of these things that happen over the years, right? Like something comes up because it doesn't.
Brain, right?
It fries your brain, and it's a constant feeling of FOMO and comparing. Like if I sold it at this moment, if I bought at this moment, everyone has a story of that, right? Like you talked about it with Bitcoin originally. You go on, Jack.
Sorry, just to give context on that too. I think we read it a few pods ago, where it was like, what percentage of traders on this chain are profitable? Like 10%.
Oh yeah, pump.fund. Bilal read it. It's like 90% lose
10% are profitable, 1% have made more than 10K or something. Maybe less than that.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of like we shared the hedge fund thing versus S&P 500. Obviously very different context and very sophisticated investors.
Just keep buying, boys.
Just keep buying. There we go.
Friend of the pod.
So actually, let's speak our boy Nick Majuli. I'm gonna love Nick. What a
legendary
guy,
episode as well.
Yeah, legendary episode. But Dorsey and Elon. Okay, so we gotta bring this point up because Nick had some great tweets about Trump. So Bilal, sorry for interjecting here. I'm gonna get back to you quickly. But the Nick thing, the thread that I didn't want to lose, and let's address this directly after we asked your reaction or get back to your reaction. Nick said, "I know this Trump coin looks real grimy from like enriching the first family," but he actually just straight up said, "This is to me no worse than Pelosi and congressional leaders investing ahead of legislation that they get to decide on." He's like, and he added this addendum: "It's 2025. This is no longer 2021. If you're buying any crypto asset of this kind of full meme hype thing, the default expectation should be this thing's going to zero. That's the default expectation. So let me throw that into your lap with everything we just said."
So to answer, what was your original question about?
Your reaction?
I was very much feeling like Zuck in that moment, right? You know, you catch a glimpse, and you're like, I see where this could go, but I was like, no, I need to stay disciplined.
You're not willing to risk it all, right? You're not willing to risk it all.
I'm trying to keep to the higher power. You know, keep it real. Keep it clean. I actually read it early in the morning. I've been struggling with sleeping, and I shouldn't be doing this, but I saw it on my phone very early.
You
in the morning.
had the fog. The morning fog during the fog of war.
Literally fog of war. And I will be honest, I did definitely think, oh, okay, this is an easy, like, just throw in a little bit. But I've been very disciplined this cycle because as you guys know, you know, for a lot of people listening to this is not the first cycle. We've already had 2 on this pod, and there was, for me, 2016, 17 as well. So I feel like I actually have learned quite a lot
Bilal.
over the... Yeah, exactly. You guys know how I was...
Bilal.
Exactly. So I'm not trying to be flipping into stuff like that anymore. Yeah, and you know how that can end. So I'm not really messing around with. Honestly, this time around, I've been very strict.
No, it's good for your brain, man. Right? Like, cool, you would have 10K.
It's very difficult.
You would have fried your brain. You would have fried your brain for an extra 5K.
Trunk, I think it's really important to say it's exactly the psychology you said. Is you have to know, you have to extrapolate out, like what's going to happen when I get this message tomorrow and you're going to get FOMO and you're like, oh, I should have just done it here and all this sort of stuff. You have to be completely cool with that because there's so many of those. It doesn't have to be the Trump coin. It could be literally the day after I'm added to a group chat with some other friends. There's like a Goldman Sachs guy in it. His first time he's doing all this stuff. There's a guy from Google who's like, oh, how do I do Phantom Wallet? And I'm like, just take me out this chat, man, because I don't want to be tempted here. You know, it's not.
Guys,
it'll literally just ruin you'll just be there. You'll get a million opportunities a day. And it's just like, bro, you know what? I'm gonna say something that Arthur Hayes says in all of his essays. He's like, I'm just buying Bitcoin rips and dips. It's like
that's it.
That's
Keep
it, right? It's like the money supply. Here's what's happening: trillions of dollars are gonna get printed over the next 5 years. It's got all the energy is gonna end up in Bitcoin. Just keep it simple.
And the truth is, man, if you for me anyway, it's a very personal thing. I've been riding it for so long, very disciplined in holding, basically not selling stuff for how many years. This was the cycle where I finally was like, okay, my life circumstance changed. I'm a little bit older. I need to be a bit more responsible here. Let's not throw too much crazy stuff in here. It's actually, and my truth, the summary of it all is, the best time to buy is in the bear markets, right? Like we know that, and there will be bear markets at some point.
I had a familial connection that went basically all in on Solana right after FTX blew up. Laughing now.
Yeah, but that's the psychology. How do you feel when you're like, oh no, this could be the end because the guy's going to jail, and it actually, that was very difficult to do.
Go poop our episodes, bro.
Yeah, and even now, like let's say there was another massive, let's say there's rumors which I don't believe, but let's say Coinbase in a crazy scenario was not actually holding all the stuff and they're running all the ETFs, that would be a massive negative event.
Don't aggregate us. This is just one tweet we saw like 20 replies down.
But let's say because there were these Solana delays, whatever, that seems to be just infrastructure issue from my point of view. But let's just say in that hypothetical, of course you're not going to feel that much conviction in that moment, right? So
totally.
that's kind of the
and if
real
you do,
test.
you deserve it, right?
Yeah, and if you're timing it now, it's like I'm just got completely fine with. I'm gonna like I actually the first time honestly I started selling some of my long-term bags mainly just to
rebalance.
Rebalance, yeah, because it's been way over for way too long, right? So, and I was actually like, okay, this time let me be responsible. Let me do all the things you read and learn. You actually apply. You have targets. You accept that this is already whatever X gain, and if it goes up 2X from here, it's completely fine because you had a plan and stuck to it. So anyway, that's real boring. So we can keep moving on to the
all right.
actual...
Let's address Majuli. Nick's point about because this is a valid point. Nick's point about again, this isn't saying. I mean, from anybody that looks at this is like, okay, wow, he's really monetizing his name. So what I'd say is that let me walk through kind of the ladder of presidential monetization, right? Here's a simple one. You do a $500,000 speech at Goldman Sachs. Every president's done that, right?
Yeah,
which does stink of corruption, frankly, for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of presidents, every single president gets criticized for that, and I think rightly so.
Are you saying while the president or after?
No, right afterwards. I'm just talking about how to monetize your name, right? Is like
do a lot of them do it when they're president? Because that is that
no. It's everything's afterwards, right? It's everything's afterwards. But this is like we're kind of working through like the most popular ways to monetize a presidential term, right? So then there's obviously the book deal. Every president gets the 8-figure book deal, right?
65 million for
65 million for Obama, right? That's fine. That's just part of the game. I get that. But then you start moving into other stuff like Hunter Biden getting board seats with shell companies in China and Ukraine.
That's fine. That's great.
Right? Or, I mean, if you want to be like Jared Kushner raised $2 billion from the Saudis, right? Like people talk about that. That's the balancing out act, right? It was like,
and to be fair, they're not actually president, but they're related.
Proximity
we're talking about how to use the monetize umbrella. The office, right? Chelsea
Family
Clinton,
office in this
Chelsea
case,
Clinton, daughter of the Clintons, gets a $600,000 a year with a job with MSNBC. Shows up for like 3 episodes. Like these type of things are happening, right? Or you get like if you want to count kind of the royal family in England, which is obviously different, but like you monetize that, right? You get a Netflix deal if you're Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, right? It's all types of corruption happen. Corruption in air quotes, because some people just think that's the game.
Influence.
It's not straight up corruption, right? Influence.
Well, I think that, just to be specific, I don't think a book deal is anywhere near on the same level as a meme coin. We're going to come onto that.
But I want to talk. So yeah. So let's.
I'm not saying they're good or bad. Like
yeah.
Well,
no, you're right. You're right.
I think there's a big
It's not the
difference.
same. It's not. I'm working through. You're right. So
no, I get it. Yeah, we're going through.
If I was to talk through the hierarchy, the book deal is the most understandable way to monetize your name. Thumbs up.
And it's after you're president as well.
Yeah, after you're president.
Slightly different.
Talking
versus 2 days
Sachs.
before being inaugurated, right? So
exactly. So like talking to Goldman Sachs the day after you leave office. Sure, not necessarily legal, not great, right?
Not great optics, as they say.
Not great optics. And then this meme coin. This is and to get to Bilal's point, and I do want to emphasize this. This is a whole nother beast in so many ways. And there's an amazing article that we should link to, but it talks about whether this situation with the Trump coin is so out there that it may lead to a Supreme Court case. Specifically, why? I'm going to butcher the word because I always get it wrong, but every time a new president gets into office, they talk about the emoluments clause. Emoluments clause. This is from the very beginning. This is something Alexander Hamilton wanted to get into the Constitution, but ended up being sorted out in about the 1830s. It's basically saying a sitting president, can't accept money from a foreign power, right? And this actually came up in Trump's first term because Trump owns a lot of hotels. As an example, if you had a foreign dignitary from the Middle East or Asia that wanted some type of influence with Trump, they would stay at the Trump Hotel in D.C. They're paying whatever the room rate is, but maybe they overcharge for the steak.
They leave a nice tip.
They're leaving a nice tip.
They're leaving a nice tip.
They're getting that. They're getting those peanut M&Ms that weekend.
They're hit. So they're going to the bar, and that water, which is already overpriced at $10 in Vegas, it's like $200 for that bottle of water, but they're happy to drink
with
it,
a
right?
10G tip, like Jack's haircut in the Middle East.
Okay, so you guys are seeing where I'm going with this, right? This is where I want to bring this up. There's like the ladders, and to Bilal's point, I wasn't saying like writing a book is the same as a meme coin. Yeah. I'm showing the ladder where this gets to. And then the Trump thing was very interesting, but it never went anywhere because it's extremely difficult to prove what is being alleged here, that a foreign power is trying to buy influence by staying at Trump Hotel, right? But the Trump coin is a different beast, but it's also tricky. But this is why it might get to the Supreme Court. Unlikely in the long game because just these things take forever, right? And obviously Trump has a lot of political power right now. So the odds of it being, somebody trying to bring it all the way to the highest court in the land is very unlikely. But here's a setup if it was. So right now, Trump-related entities own 80% of Trump coin, right? If you're a foreign power or a rich foreigner that wanted influence, so let me ask you guys, how would you make that happen knowing that Trump owns 80% of the Trump coin float? What would you be doing if you wanted to get some type of influence? Jack.
Well, I don't know. It's interesting the way it was rolled out too is like quite sophisticated in that how much support they got from like it's on Robinhood now. It's on, I don't know if it's on Coinbase, but they said they added it to the roadmap. Like all of these centralized exchanges that you would have had to have gotten, like had proper conversations with. This is not just, launching it and tweeting a link out. There's like conversations that have happened in advance. I mean, I think taking a massive position and talking about it, but that wouldn't be necessarily like that would probably draw heat in a way that you would not curry favor, So I think that's maybe the argument against it is like it is so transparent that in order to, you need some level of what was
Obfuscation.
Obfuscation or like plausible deniability that the Trump Hotel is just nice, right? Like it's not the same as like, oh, here's $100 million buy order for a meme coin that we're going to publicly announce. But there's like ETF filings this morning for the Trump coin. Did you see that? Like obviously these things are all like PR activities and the likelihood of them happening is probably super low. But like the formalization of this stuff or the like perceived relaxation around the regulation of these things is what like the general reception of that thing was. It's like the ability to monetize your likeness or to launch these things that have no quote unquote inherent value. And if you read the terms of these things, they always make that disclosure, right? It's like, this is for entertainment purposes only. Like it's a, you know, it's a pure, like, I guess that's basically the disclaimer that's made. It's like, this is for entertainment purposes. There are no promises being made as to this providing you with anything specific. And I don't know, there's a lot of sophisticated businesses supporting this, like on the infrastructure side, which feels like sort of a sea change in policy, right? There's definitely not been an environment for the last 4 years where somebody in that position would be comfortable doing that. But this guy is also, his risk tolerance is in just absolutely off the chain, obviously, just like completely beyond what you would think of as a conventional politician, what they would do, how they would act. Like, it's also his last, like, he can't run again, can he? He's like,
yeah, he's anything like, goes.
Right, and he's 78. Right?
Yeah, and like all of the things that have happened in the past 4 years are just probably. I also have this other question around this, whether or not like this was such a big deal within the like crypto community, but then like 2 days later,
yeah,
it seems like this guy's completely forgotten about it. He has no idea it even happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, even with the like size of it. If you put that in real estate terms, it's like, it's so massive, like the amount of capital that is invested in this instrument that you endorsed. Like in any other person would be so all consumed by that. And the fact that it just feels like this, like it was contained within one tweet and that's it, it's done, is such a bizarre thought, honestly. It's like,
also, Jack, I would say the same for like the community or people that night or the next day, people who are like massive supporters of Trump even, or like Republican leaning people, like people that we actually know their names, like Dave Portnoy. I know he's not very sophisticated with crypto, but even he, like, I'm just reading out, he said, I have a dumb 2-part question. What's the difference between this, as in, between the Hawk Tour coin and the Trump coin besides nothing? Can I string up my own coin now and tell people it's a Ponzi scheme from the jump, and I'm going to rug pull at some point? You better just hope you're out when I
you know what's funny? Portnoy made $1 million on Trump coin and then just put it on the bills.
Yeah, I saw that. Right. And then there was another person, someone else wrote, Trump went from president-elect to Satoshi Nakamoto to Hawk Tour over the course of 48 hours.
We didn't even cover the story yet. We didn't even like wrap up why it went tits up 48 hours later.
Yeah, okay. Go on. Actually, hold on, Jack. Pin that for a second. Let's ask Bilal his thoughts about the Emollients case. Bilal,
the what case?
The Trump coin as like a vehicle of presidential enrichment. What are your thoughts on that?
My
and
answer
let's go back
is I think my initial reaction was, this is crazy, and like it felt, because we've seen so many meme coins, and as Balaji wrote, right, like you're basically, you can only make money here if you're basically taking from someone else.
I'll read it out if you want me to.
Yeah, go on, read it, because the phrase I'm forgetting.
So mind you, this is Balaji, who, all things equal, is a Trump supporter. Or definitely not a Dem supporter.
I think he would have supported, it seems like, in this.
So he came out quite strongly and he says, a meme coin is a zero-sum lottery. There's no wealth creation. Every buy order is simply matched by a sell order. And after an initial spike, the price eventually crashes and the last buyer loses everything. And then he put asterisks. It's actually negative sum if the platform takes a cut. And then he goes on. If you want to gamble as entertainment in moderation, like at Vegas, okay. If you are a professional trader, okay. But most should buy assets that retain their value over the long run. And then he basically says you can consider any asset a meme coin. And somebody's like, isn't Bitcoin a meme coin? He's like, well, actually, if you think about all the mining rigs behind it, and as we've talked about here, very uneloquently, but just go listen to the Sailor episode if you guys want from 3 years ago at this point almost. Is like there's real meat behind Bitcoin. There's political power. There's followings. Tons of people own it, and the fact that it is connected to real life physics. It's the energy grid, right? It's like you basically turned a way to turn financial energy and electrical energy into a way to encrypt information.
Projection trunk.
Power projection.
Sugar power Tesla. But the trunk, I will say, and I agreed with what he wrote, but I would also, if you're being objective about that, the part I would hone in is the zero sum part. Like even with Bitcoin, which obviously I'm a fan of and, will hold for a long time. For me to make money
Forever.
now, I'll have to sell to someone else who's going to buy from me, like most investments. So it's not like, so it's just, again, kind of like your scale before from book deal to, rug and meme coin. There's a spectrum here. And so to answer your question, your original question, if he actually rugged in terms of like just selling a bunch on people and it crashed, yeah, of course, I don't think that's a good look, obviously. Now, from what I've seen, I don't think that's necessarily happened. Obviously, things have crashed a little bit because of the Melania coin, which we'll come on to. It basically sucked the liquidity out of the Trump
which speaks
coin,
to the zero
much.
sum nature, right?
Exactly.
And there's another point to be made on this where the way they launched it and the tools they put on the website allowed people to buy in with debit cards, which is net new capital into specifically the Solana ecosystem, right? And
Moonshot, the app, was #1 on App Store, right?
It's a bigger zero-sum game, which is interesting because there's like one way people think of a zero-sum game in crypto is like, this is like a fixed pool of capital chasing trends, right? And just getting chopped, like shitty traders just getting their lunch eaten progressively by sophisticated traders, same money moving around. And the whole, I hate this term. I've like tried to be vocal about this. People talk about like crypto adoption. And what they're really trying to say is like exit liquidity.
Well, number go up,
Yeah. Like we need to increase adoption. It's like we need like more lambs
people to
lead to the slaughter, basically.
That never connected that. That is just... We need adoption. It's exit liquidity.
And like this is me saying that does not like... I'm not a skeptic to that degree where it's like there's stuff about this that is intrinsically interesting to me. And that argument really just like is kind of infuriating where and I realize there's some hypocrisy in that too, because people get into it for that reason, right? It's like there's a degree of experimentation and freedom and fun and like making money in that process is what gets people hooked on this. But then there are obviously rabbit holes you go down after the fact where you're listening to 13 hours of content about the history of money and energy and the like fundamental components of trade and civilization and private property. And it like helps you understand the world a little better. But on the very extreme end of that spectrum, it's like buy Trump coin when you see the announcement and then sophisticated trader X is just going to completely
snipe you,
eat your lunch, man. Like and I think the thing that's exciting about it crypto wide is like it opens the door to a lot of people, but the issue with that, or the way like that is spun negatively very easily, is like just go back to those statistics that we read off a couple episodes ago. Like this is a very different experience to setting up like $100 a month DCA into Bitcoin, right? When you like listen to a bunch of stuff, you read a book and you're like, oh, this is an interesting experiment. I think like maybe there is a better monetary system. I want to like pledge a little bit of my energy and effort to maybe see that happen, versus like, let me like whack my paycheck into like piss coin on Moonshot and then get obliterated in the next 2 hours. And then like that does have a net negative impact on crypto as a idea, as an industry, is like if that's your first interaction with it, and especially if it's being sold industry wide or terminology wide as like, you can't skip a lot of the fundamentals to appreciate like how it got here, you know? And a lot of the things that do resonate with me in the bit like Bitcoin maxi camp is like, what, Bitcoin, not crypto. The idea that 99% of stuff that has been built after that is just extractive on ignorance, essentially. And the positive, or the way this is viewed as positive, is because it will, I mean, it already has. I think the coin has 800,000 holders, which is a crazy statistic relative to basically, I don't think there's, like, you're getting
That's
into mad. Like top
Bitcoin
10, obviously.
territory.
Yeah, like top 10 crypto buy holders, probably.
That's wild.
Like this guy's platform is just insanity, right? It's incredible. There's also like crazy conspiracy speculation that if they do really want to drive adoption of this thing, and if Bitcoin is a priority administration wide, why not convert that treasury into a harder asset? You know, you're leveraging your reputation to get people to adopt or have like proxy exposure to a really hard crypto asset. I have no idea if that's what they're going to do, but
it's just saying like flip that to Bitcoin to put it in a treasury, let's say, like that would be
right. It's
different move.
There are probably orders of magnitude more people that will buy Trump coin than Bitcoin for so many reasons, right? Like the cult of personality, the like speed at which the price moves around,
the potential upside,
the unit bias on Bitcoin. Exactly. And that's another thing that's like fascinating to me about this, like how they chose the price. And I have a theory about it, is like, if you did some like mega fractional, like supply of trillions, it looks quote unquote cheaper than $1, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that thing is never going to trade below $1 billion, I wouldn't think, ever, just as a function of like how big. Yeah. Okay. So it's always going to be, when you look at it, more valuable than USDC. Yeah.
Oh,
that's a good point.
Yo,
but like from a branding perspective, I don't know if anybody did like if that was his decision necessarily, but that feels very Trump to me. It's like, this has to be more expensive than $1.
Or you know who I think did it, but just learned from the DNA of his father, Barron Trump.
Oh yeah.
We all know,
man.
Dude,
yeah,
Barron,
he was definitely
the Gen Z whisperer,
killing it. Yeah. Look, I mean, he looks ready. Give him 10, 15, 20 years. He's ready to go, man.
Dude, those Paul Atreides connection, dude, if you're telling me that Barron isn't going to be a massive hitter in 10 years, I'm taking the other side of that trade. This guy has got game, man. There's no question
like
about
6'9" or something. So I mean, that's already
huge,
a good.
bro.
Did you guys? Did I send you that?
Yeah,
AI version?
Unbelievable.
I have to find it, but the video of him walking in.
Well, people that don't know, maybe actually, Rafa, can you post if Rafa can do it? Basically, he's walking into the rotunda, the Capitol Rotunda, or maybe this might be going to that ball. Somebody extended him up to like 20 feet and just wrote, "Haters will say this is AI." Wait, hold on a second.
He had the meme with him and Elon sitting next to each other, right? And Elon's going like, "Yay!" Going to Mars. Looking like, extra happy, and then that is amazing meme material. Incredible, because you've got Barron there. It's it's like the guy who just sold the deal and the person who's going to implement it, and there's too many of those, man. Basically realizing that he's the one who launched the Melania coin. You know what I mean? Because that was the rumor as well. But anyway, let's keep it going. Go on, Trung. Was there something else on that before we move?
Man, this is such a great topic. I'm so happy we got Jack was back for Happy New Year to bring.
Jack we didn't
back
even get to.
So
it feels like we've been speaking the whole time, so it doesn't feel like we haven't seen each other.
Yeah, because our brains we've been frying our brains together in unison and these DMs. But a couple more items I guess we could knock off is. Actually, let me ask a very pointed question to get you guys' temperature on this. So I think over the last 10 minutes, we've established 2 points here. There's obviously the the perception of political corruption, that thing, which is obviously that's a talking point here. Enrichment through your name as president, right? And as Jack noted, there's plausible deniability in the sense of, first of all, the money's not going directly to him, right? Like an asset that he owns is being increased in value. And as Jack had mentioned at the top, but actually unloading all that, it's not clear that they would actually be monetized a full, 50 to 70 billion. Clearly, they'll be able to monetize some of it. And as Jack just mentioned, $1 seems to be the bare minimum here. So at a minimum, likely Barron Trump just made $1 billion. If we just want to, the floor is Barron Trump made $1 billion, right? No, but like that's
maybe
the floor,
they're just
right?
trying to raise that money to buy Greenland after all.
Yeah, that was a good joke. The
other
flip.
joke there.
So the other point that you guys brought up, though, which Jack did speak to, was about the perception of this as, is this pro or negative crypto, right? The most interesting convo I saw on this was the commentators that were saying this is either pro or negative. So I think Balaji, even after everything he said about the meme coin being zero sum, he thinks it's positive for crypto for some of the reasons you had said, Jack, as in, it went from the most negative administration you could possibly have to the president has a crypto coin.
Yeah. It's like no press is bad press at that.
Okay.
Or like crypto in the macro benefits from the signal that this is like a industry open to innovation. Let's use
its
that
existence, right?
Let's
it's
use that in inverted commas. Yeah. It's an endorsement of the technology at the highest level, and the use of the technology there is like, the meme coin is like using those two in the same sentence is just a crazy Overton window smash, as we have been experiencing for months and months and years. Maybe.
So that outweighs the perception of crypto being just used for like there's no value, or this is purely.
I think that's already kind of, the ship has sailed on that kind of.
Oh, like that cudgel that like the media would try to use, it just doesn't work anymore.
I
right?
feel like it's gone. Yeah, I feel like that. So that like this is almost like Trump stakes at this point. It's like it's this is a part of economic activity, and he is participating in the same way he has done with everything else. And I don't actually know. Perhaps that's why it was launched on Friday, right? Because he couldn't have done it on Monday.
Yeah.
Like this is a business that.
He had to do it before he became president.
I would think that would be probably more defensible in a legal environment, that this is something that happened prior to. But I also to what we discussed before about the fact that this is like his last run, and the processes that would regulate something like this move so slowly that maybe it wouldn't matter. But it feels like
that's true.
They try to get it in under the wire.
And something you did bring up earlier is like how quickly he just kind of like this story comes out. I mean, it's just kind of like Trump 101, just flood the zone, right? This story comes out, the TikTok thing happens, and then everybody just moves on. 200 executive orders in the first 24 hours. It's just like, move on, right? Just
keep going.
Also, boys, did you see breaking news is Commissioner Pierce, aka Crypto Mom.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why I read out the American Crypto Mom will lead the SEC's new crypto task force.
That's all she's over. Very pro crypto.
And I will pull up Polymarket, which is, I'll just quickly share my screen here.
And after that, Bilal, go to doge.gov.
Oh, really? Okay, sick. All right, can you guys see this? This was obviously the Polymarket bet up for will Trump. Can you guys see this? Yeah. Will Trump create Bitcoin reserve in the first 100 days? It was peaking at like 48% chance, essentially. It dropped down with the inauguration yesterday. Now starting to rise back up to 41%. And I mean, it's only 3 million volume, so it's not crazy volume on that yet. But I think Kalshi has also got a similar amount. What was the
I wonder what's the parameters on that? Is it underneath?
The market resolved to yes if the U.S. government holds any amount of Bitcoin in its reserves at any point between January 20th to April, blah blah blah, to April 29th.
I wonder if that even is possible. Like, doesn't that have to pass? Like, what? what does that have to go through? He can't.
I think because they already have Bitcoin as a government because they've confiscated
some.
But I think to put it in a reserve,
like 20 bill worth, right?
Yeah, from like Silk Road or whatever else it was. But I think in this case it would have to be reserved. Like it must be like a legal. Trung, you probably know more about this than
I'm just saying.
No,
like,
you have to switch it over, right? You have to put it on the Fed balance sheet.
You're going from MetaMask to Coinbase wallet or something like, centralized space there. But yeah, so go on, Jack.
I'll share it. Here you go, boys. Went live while we were on the pod. This is a government website.
wait. Sorry.
You seeing this, Trung?
Jesus Christ. Is that literally all it is?
Yeah.
That's incredible. The first .gov website to look like that. Incredible.
Unreal.
Dude, should I sell my ETH? I'm going to do it live here. Should I sell this?
Where did that thought come from? Because we've been talking.
Yeah, you guys been saying, man, how is this thing not back at 4,000? What is going on?
This is a great conversation because I did have a topic here, ETH community struggles.
Let's talk about it, guys. Am I selling ETH?
I'm not going to... I do want to combine that with also Jack's thoughts on where we are in the cycle, because I know obviously no real prediction here, but we all know the euphoria kind of chart. Let me pull that up in the meantime. What's that called again? Investing sentiment or something?
Oh yeah.
Just put euphoria chart. That'll get it.
Yeah. Let's pull that up because
psychology of a market cycle.
Yeah. Let me just pull it up for the viewers. Oh, come on. Banner. Come on, boys. What cookie?
You got that VPN on there, have you?
Just yeah. But yeah, so Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle. For people listening, right in the bottom left, disbelief, hope, optimism, belief as it gets up. Belief, thrill, euphoria. Euphoria is I'm a genius. We're all gonna be rich. That vibe, right? We've all been there. We've been there a few times.
We've got it on video, boys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've literally got the whole. Someone needs to put that up. It's like a thumbnail screenshot of us going up and down on this anger, and you've got the TikTok ban, panic selling.
Yeah.
Shit, everyone's selling.
No,
yeah.
Actually,
So basically,
you know what we had. Let me add this. 2 years ago after FTX, the cope we had was incredible.
Oh,
we did an episode where we were like, man, it's really good. Honestly, the positive is that we can get back to building.
Yeah. That's amazing. Get back to what was there was a building versus betting. That was good though. But it's also true. It's also
we can't just make money off these NFTs and meme coins. We gotta actually create value in this world. Maybe that's a positive.
Yeah.
The cope was incredible.
No, but Jack, that was a legendary episode, building versus betting. I was definitely hyped up until this is the thing, right? Like as soon as you start getting this euphoria going, I think my answer is we've been between belief and euphoria for the last few months. I already think we've been there I think we're getting there. So in my personal opinion, because like the one where it says thrill is I'll buy more on margin. There was also like I'm going all in is another version of that. Like I've been catching myself, again, this is getting a little bit very specific, moving over a Roth account to a place where I can buy a Bitcoin ETF because it's more tax efficient. That's within that upward trajectory. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? So that is normally the signal for me to be at least taking some chips off the table. Do with that what you please. But anyway, Jack, would love your take on it as well, based on you're really feeling it in the feeds and on the chain, as you say.
You're feeling the AGI, as Ilyas Sutskever would say.
Yeah, I love that Trump just called out the build, invest, betting. That was
incredible.
A legendary episode.
That was unbelievable cope. That was just like, ooh, what's the big lesson from 2022? Well,
never again, boys.
Yeah. We had a good run, but Bilal, I love how I'm calling out Bilal, but I was like exactly the same. I'm like, oh man, gotta like actually build stuff. Like, no, you know what that coincided with? I remember Jack had a great lesson from 2022. It's like our default to every recommendation was like, man, like, Trung, do you have any advice on like my career? It's like, become a creator, start a Substack. And it's like, that's like the answer for everything, right? Start your own Substack, create content on Twitter.
There you go. Audience first businesses, Trung. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
We also pivoted on
Belly.ai.
Unbelievable,
But
man.
sorry, go on, Jack. Any thoughts? No, genuine question though.
Strong opinions loosely held, boys.
There we go. Yeah, things can change. So can your position. Go on, Jack. Any this is ridiculous.
Hey, you know
That
what's
was a
funny?
good one.
Before we got on the pod, I was saying this to Bilal. I was like, the sentiment on Twitter is diabolical right now. Like the mood is so awful. And Bitcoin literally hit an all-time high, I think, less than 48 hours ago. People were like, it's over.
That's ridiculous.
It's over. Like the expectations that
crazy?
people have. It's insane. It's like the expectations people have because of the like degree of hype that has surrounded this stuff is so crazy. You can alleviate that to the extent that your work isn't connected to that too.
That's true. That's a good point.
And like if you get those two closer together, it's just like it's carnage, man.
A bit like what you've been doing for the last few years, you mean?
Exactly. It's like, this wouldn't be like if you had something that was non-correlated that you worked on for 4 or 5, and everything is correlated to some degree, but I mean like not 1-to-1, like the mood.
Yeah, you're not
and the
selling
appetite for your
NFTs and
stuff.
ETH, right? Like, it's different.
Yeah, and something interesting about that is like there was the inverse correlation. Like that typically is how it works in the art market. It's like when like risk on assets are going nuts, like everybody's got all their eyes on that, watching the charts. And then when that calms down, all of that liquidity flows into these different parts of the economy. And you also have the attention of people that you can like tell your story to during that time. Whereas right now, like trying to get anybody to pay attention to anything that isn't going up 9,000% a day, it's like, why would I spend my time on that?
Yeah, that's a great.
It's like
actually,
distorts. Go on.
Jack, I was going to bring up basically what Trunk said there about ETH. Obviously, he was semi-joking, but not really. About like, should I just dump my bags or whatever, right? But like that, no, but that's the feeling. It's like literally all it's going to take is for ETH to go to 4K again, like it did a few months ago.
Yeah.
And people will be like, oh my God, it's back. There's a narrative. And people come up with these narratives. So how much of it is just the feeling of something
it's
going
up
up?
Like
basically all of it.
60% over the last year, which is incredible. But I'm just like, what is this? This is trash.
Yeah, because it's all You're right. It's all contextual, man. It's pretty mental. But yeah, it does bring up real quick because we have probably about 10 minutes. We can jam on this real quick. A couple of topics. The ETH community struggles real quick here. Our boy Tetranode, who has been on the pod, friend of the pod, he's been going in while we've been on the pod. He's been 11:03. That was this morning. Basically, just going in, talking about what's going on there. Jack, do you have any idea what's going on?
Can I just give basically the macro sentiment has a lot to do with if you pull up a chart of like ETH BTC, it's down only basically for the last 2 years. Like where these things are somewhat correlated in dollar terms, and if you are able to silo your thinking in that respect, it's not as painful. But it's like if you transact and try and store wealth in the crypto economy, Bitcoin has been a far superior store of value for the last few years, right? Like the divergence has been quite aggressive. And there's like a point in time, whether that is married to a technical decision of when the merge happened, when they switched from proof of work to proof of stake, whether or not that is the fundamental reason or not, there's like a very tight correlation to the like underperformance since then. And then you obviously have Solana, which
I think that's the big one, to be honest.
Which is a cheaper chain that can perform essentially everything that Ethereum does, but in a faster, cheaper way while making, and I'm not qualified to speak about this, so anybody listens to this where I get a detail wrong, the trade-offs in Ethereum are decentralization and security, right? You're paying more because the chain is more decentralized, and there's basically been zero downtime since it's existed, sorry. And for the average user, for the onboarded new user, Solana and the apps that have been built there in the last couple of years are just running away with adoption. Like if you look
at the experience is so much better. We talked about in the last bull run, right? Like even while that was going on, that we started playing around with some of those things, And it was just, you could see straight away the experience of the actual apps are just slick and they work really well. What's this, Jack?
If you look at this, so this is, what is it? The most profitable apps in crypto are all on Solana. So they're all, they're all these like Telegram trading bots, all like, and all is maybe a generalization, but it's mostly like PvP trading, sniping these memes and like high frequency stuff, which is very suited to the infrastructure and getting people involved quickly, and you're not paying massive fees. And I think the crux of it is like Ethereum, ideologically, from Vitalik and everybody that runs the Ethereum Foundation, has not lent into that narrative in the same way that Solana has. Like you have the guys that build Solana that will retweet Memecoin launches and be like, rocket emojis, like come and build shit on Solana, and it's a younger crowd of people. And Ethereum has like an incredible depth of expertise and talent and like just insane engineering ability, but ideologically has not optimized itself directly for like this stuff.
Use cases and stuff. Well, Jack, it reminds me when in the last time where you were comparing Bitcoin maxis versus Ethereum people trading monkey JPEGs on the internet and the silliness of all of that. And like you said, the meme coin equivalent and NFTs then was all the interesting stuff was happening on ETH, right?
It's Ethereum. Playing out. It's a kind of history rhyming.
Repeating. So, and my prediction going into the future is there's another one, SUI, S-U-I, I don't know how you even say it, S-U-I, that is being optimized for a lot of these different things, come with a really strong team as well. Like there's risks for Solana too, that there's going to be a next thing and a next thing, because all of this is narrative based as well, right? So,
and I guess the bull case for Ethereum is that institutional level of adoption for smart contracts and storing like obscene amounts of value. But BlackRock will put $100 billion in a fund on Ethereum, maybe not on Solana today, right? I don't know what executives make that decision or what criteria they're weighing off, but it's also ETF approval, like has access to bigger capital markets right now.
And Jack, I mean, this is an example of Donald Trump Jr. posting today, real quick, related. Their company, what's it called again?
World Liberty Finance.
World Liberty Fund. This is a DeFi sort of company, right? They announced they've put in 47 million in ETH, 47 million in wrapped BTC. These are all Ethereum-based tokens here, basically. So just wanted to bring that up, that is Donald Trump's son, right? This is their... They are investing in DeFi in that private company.
That's just basically, that's the same as just getting a book deal, to be honest, guys.
Yeah, very similar.
True.
I know we're running up on time. So Jack, could you give us the 30-second on why Millennia coin dumped the Trump coin in your estimation? And let's do the TikTok quickly.
Well, it's just like the reaction to it was overwhelmingly like, why? It's like... doesn't make any sense that you would introduce something like that is competing for the same capital, right? With this thing that is supposed to represent your signaling of being aligned with this idea and industry. And the immediate reaction was everybody chases that new launch because either they got into Trump later on or like the unpredictability that comes with the fact that they might just keep doing this every day at this point, right? There might be an Eric coin
where's
tomorrow.
Barron, right?
Yeah.
Where's Eric?
And there's all speculation on whether or not that like those things are happening on like Pump Fund and stuff. There's all these stories teams, that I never...
There were different teams.
Yeah.
The Millennium and the Trump one.
And I think this comes back to the thing before of like, this is such a small part of their universe and strategy and like what they care about. And even if you like watch tape of him talking about crypto, it's like, he essentially admits it's like, oh, Barron knows loads about this and my kids seem to understand it, but I got no idea. And it's like, obviously they've given permission to run these things, but how much they know about the mechanics of it, the timing and like the culture of crypto, I would think almost none, right? It's like, if you think about this as like product launches in the physical world, there wouldn't be too much debate about the fact that a Trump product and a Melania product shouldn't launch within 2 or 3 days of each other. But in crypto, you're competing for the exact same buyer.
Well, I was about to ask that, Jack. Are we sure that the person would want Trump coin is the same person that would want Melania coin?
Mate, it's a great, like, even the premise that she should do that is crazy, Like, I don't know, it's bizarre. And all the universes that you like think out, like, oh, what could be like the worst thing to happen to this in the next 2 or 3 days? And nobody had that on the bingo card, Nobody thought, oh, like his wife is going to launch a coin on the same
that
chain.
one was insane.
Just like, I remember like in text messages, like people are like, is this real? Is it like, it feels like somebody has gotten access to her account and then he retweeted it. And it's like, it's game over, boys.
Super weird. Yeah. All right, boys, we got 5 minutes because I've got a call straight after this as well. Should we do a quick TikTok ban? Launching vertical video too. What the hell's going on? Thanks, Jack, for that. That was a great summary, mate.
Well, we never got the butcher take on TikTok because me and Bilal obviously talked about last week. So, Jack, what are your thoughts on TikTok?
Yeah.
Give us a prediction on where you think it'll end up.
I don't use it, so I don't know that much. I know, actually have basically no context on the decision or why it was reinstated. I completely missed the whole thing. So you tell me.
But where would you make what would your prediction be? Uninformed prediction right now.
The best sort of prediction.
I don't know if I have. I literally don't know why they banned it or what the conditions are on the.
You're not on the Trung pod where we have the thumbnail of him saying ban TikTok, Jack. No, it's basically saying it's spyware from China, essentially, right? Like.
No, I'm sorry. I know all of that. I'm saying what are the conditions to reinstate? Like what are the conditions it has to meet now? It's been reinstated. Then I'll give my prediction.
Okay, all right. Let me tee it up quickly. I know Bilal's on a hard stop. So the situation now is, by the letter of the law, TikTok's actually operating illegally right now because it was supposed to be banned on January 19th. It went offline for 12 hours over the weekend, and then the TikTok notification basically said TikTok's not working because of the Supreme Court decision and the law. But they called out Donald Trump specifically. We believe that President Trump can save the app. So let me throw the 3D chess, the 4D chess move out here, and then I'll throw it to Jack with where we are. The 4D chess move is this. Trump does this all the time. He creates a trade chip out of nothing, right? Like when he goes, I'm going to slap 25% tariffs on Canada, he's created an asset now, the 25% tariff that he gets to trade off, right? Literally created out of thin air. Did it all throughout his first term. Same like thing with
Memecoin.
The meme coin. Kim Jong-un, right? When he basically floated, I'll meet you as a chip. Like he created that chip, right? So this does it all the time. And so he created a chip out of this TikTok ban, which is that right now TikTok is actually operating illegally. It's not available in Google or Apple. You can't download it in either of those stores because it's not worth it for Google or Apple to actually go against this congressional law, right? Even if there's an executive order which is extending the non-ban for 90 days, which is allowed in the letter of law, but Trump has to, by the law, have a buyer or deep in the process of a negotiation to actually have that 90-day extension, which most people don't think is actually happening. So that's why Google and Apple do not have it in the App Store. They're like, we're not going to get clapped. Oracle is continuing to run it. But Oracle also is close to the Trump administration. Larry Ellison is close with Elon. Larry Ellison also almost got the deal in 2020. Remember, is Oracle, Walmart, and Microsoft were going to ban TikTok, buy TikTok. You see what's happening, right? So Oracle's data center is still running it, even though technically they're not supposed to. So that's the setup with TikTok basically has 90 days, and I'll end it with specifically Trump created a new chip. He created a trade chip now that did not exist. If they just banned it, that thing's done. He's now saying you get to exist, but tomorrow I can just say you don't exist, and now he gets to play that in this grand negotiation with China. I think that's the 4D chess angle. Some people don't agree with that, but I'll leave it on your plate.
And China, like, wants it to exist. Why? Because
it's a propaganda tool. They know it's powerful. I mean, 170 million Americans are on it. And even ostensibly, let's say they lose the ability to have a say on the algorithm, but now they get to trade that against tariffs, opening this market, opening that market. Because Trump wants a grand deal. He wants to go to China. He's already talked to the administration. One of the big trips he wants to do is to meet Xi Jinping in China. So that's kind of the setup we have here.
I mean, Elon, Larry Ellison would be my guess eventually.
Oracle XXAI.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I wonder what portion of Oracle's revenue that is.
I think it's 1 or 2 billion. Nothing major, but training data, a different asset because they don't have consumer, right? So with that type of data, you can do anything now.
And TikTok's ad revenue is colossal on a.
Yes, TikTok and it is e-com play. So yeah, can they pull it off 50 to 100 bill? I think last week we said it'd be instantly X plus XAI plus TikTok would be a $150 billion company. By the way, Jack, you called this. You basically called some version of this a year plus ago. You're saying X as a shell could swallow TikTok, right? Not as a shell company, but like as an entity.
Frank, what's the other? Because for 2 minutes left, what's the other alternative that's out there that isn't that scenario?
If it doesn't reach 90 days.
Sorry. Who else could buy it from the US? I mean,
Facebook would never be allowed to buy it from antitrust, even with the Trump administration. I think that'd be very unlikely. If you want some left field stuff, like what if NVIDIA came in? So they have training data and they have this kind of consumer play that we talked about that they wanted to do with Project Digits, which was their standalone like Mac Mini. But yeah, I think we touched on it last week, right? Because we said that the betting markets had it at 80%. TikTok would not be around by May, but the other 20% was just wheeling and dealing. I think a deal might happen because I saw the Wall Street Journal reported that China government said for the first time they're willing to allow TikTok to be sold. And dude, it's a gamesmanship, right? It's like the fact that it's kayfabe 101, which we've talked about. The idea about wrestling is like Trump is now, for millions of Gen Z users, he's like, they see him in a positive light because he saved TikTok. That didn't have to happen that way, right? I would not be shocked at all if this was all back channeled. The CEO of TikTok sat next to Trump's incoming director of national intelligence, right? Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. It's like, you don't think this man's all about optics, right? It feels very orchestrated in that sense, like orchestrated in like a deal gets made, he gets these trade chips that just builds out of thin air, these PR wins that it's like just manufactures, right? And this is an amoral statement. So like, this is just how the game's played, right? And he's playing it extremely well. And we'll see how it settles out. But I bet I'm gonna go with what Jack said. I think that Oracle XAI deal might happen. But to Bilal's question, I think Microsoft potentially could come in. They still had that interest from before. I would not be shocked if Microsoft and Walmart
win for them if they could do that.
Microsoft Walmart
with
deal?
The e-com angle. Yeah, that's a great
idea. Right? Maybe Amazon.
Was Satya there yesterday? I didn't see him.
I didn't see a photo of him either. But
that's funny. The funniest one is our boy Sundar, not friend of the pod, but close enough, getting buoyed off. Did you see it was Elon Musk, Bezos, and Zuck, and then Bernie Sanders post something like the 3 richest men but sitting behind Trump, the oligarchs, right? And then Sundar's just sitting there like, he's worth only a single digit billion, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's got to be worth maybe a billion at this point. There we
wild
go,
time.
Boys.
All right, boys, got to run now, but that was great chat. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Good to have everyone back.
Yeah,
Jack,
amazing.
Great to see you, mate. And we'll see you guys next week. Stay less brain fried, everyone. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you next one. Bye-bye.
Peace.